Good morning, Bhargav. Today is Tuesday, November 28th, and here's the heads up for today. Today's production to our clients consisted of a total of 78 issues. We covered 47 issues in East Asia Pacific, 18 issues in South Asia, and 13 issues in the EMEA region. I will be briefing you on the major issues of today's production.
Hey, Bassel, thank you. Let's discuss the major issues today, please.
In East Asia Pacific, I'll be covering the top 3 of the 47 issues. In Thailand, Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin appointed Chachai Bangchwad to lead the government's team in peace talks with the main insurgent group in Thailand's southern region, Barisan Revolusi Nasional. Bangchwad is the Deputy Secretary General of the National Security Council. The negotiation team also includes representatives from the southern border provinces administrative center, the Foreign Affairs and Justice Ministries, and the Internal Security Operations Command. We covered this as the major development in the Southeast Asia roundup today.
All right, that's interesting. The insurgency in the southern part is going on for decades now. So it'll be interesting to see what the new committee will come out with.
In Indonesia, security is heightened at the Denpasar City Civil Service Police Unit office in Bali after it was attacked by 25 unknown individuals on November 26th. 6 people were injured in the attack, which took place after police officers raided a suspected prostitution site in Denpasar City.
All right, that's interesting. Now, the police unit itself is getting attacked in one of the major cities in the country. That basically shows the vulnerability and the capacity of the police in the region, and also shows the capability to mobilize by the organized crime units.
In South Korea, the South Korean Central News Agency announced that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has received photos of key U.S. locations taken by the recently launched spy satellite. The photos were said to be of the White House, the Pentagon, and aircraft carriers within the Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia. The South Korean Central News Agency stated earlier today that these images were of their major target regions.
All right, thank you.
In South Asia, I'll be covering the top issue of the 18 issues. In Pakistan, large demonstrations have been organized in Turbat, Balochistan province since November 24th over the alleged extrajudicial killing of 4 locals. According to local sources, the victims were killed in a fake encounter by the counterterrorism department on November 23rd. Thousands of people have participated in the demonstrations demanding accountability from the CTD. Protesters blocked the Baloch China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Road and observed a citywide strike on November 26th, urging the government to take action against the CTD, which is the Counterterrorism Department. We covered this as the major development in the South Asia roundup today.
The security landscape, as well as operations undertaken by some of these agencies like the Counterterrorism Department, continues to be a concern. Not only do they lack accountability, their effectiveness is also in question as the secessionist groups continue to be active and they continue to wreak havoc for businesses as well as government agencies in the province. Let's monitor the situation across the board, and the protests may die down in the short term, but it is likely to be a persistent issue of governance and accountability.
Sure, Bhargav, we'll keep a close eye on that. In EMEA, I'll be covering the top 3 of the 13 issues concerning Poland and Ukraine. Polish truckers and farmers started a round-the-clock blockade at the Medyka border crossing with Ukraine. The truckers have also blocked 3 other border crossings in a protest that started on November the 6th. They are complaining that they are losing out to Ukrainian companies which offer cheaper prices for their services. They also claim that Ukrainian companies are transporting goods within the European Union rather than just between the bloc and Ukraine. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
Yeah, this was very much expected as the war started and extraordinary measures were taken to ensure that European Union provides support to Ukraine and Ukrainian companies. Other companies in some of the Eastern European countries are likely to lose out. And Poland is the case in point. Even before the war, these economies were not doing so great, and they depended on the services and goods they would provide to Western European countries. Now, if they are losing out to some of the lesser known Ukrainian companies, their claims are likely to be heard across Eastern Europe. So let's monitor the situation and see what steps these governments will take, especially in Poland, in the short to medium term.
Sure, Bhargav. Also in Ukraine and Moldova, at least 8 people were killed and 29 others were injured in a snowstorm that affected several parts of both countries. The snowstorm resulted in strong winds that knocked off power to hundreds of towns and villages across the two countries. In Ukraine, emergency services that said that 882 localities were disconnected from the power grid. Traffic was also halted on 10 major highways, and around 1,500 trucks were left stranded. Border crossings between Ukraine and Moldova were temporarily halted. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today as well.
All right, thank you.
Concerning the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the humanitarian pause in fighting has been extended by two days. Hamas released 50 Israeli captives, while Israel released 150 Palestinian prisoners during the initial 4-day pause in fighting. Fighting has reduced in the last 4 days due to the humanitarian pause. President Joe Biden has reiterated that a two-state solution is the only way to guarantee long-term security to both Palestinians and Israelis. Jordan's Foreign Affairs Minister Ayman Safadi has called for a permanent ceasefire. The IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, raided the West Bank last night. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
All right. Now we got to focus on what comes up next. Of course, there is an extension of humanitarian ceasefire temporarily, but where does Netanyahu want to take this? Now, he is calling the shots as far as the military operations are concerned. So will he intend to expand this operation to southern part of Gaza as well? And will that result in further casualties, Israeli casualties specifically, because hostages are likely being held there? Bassel, your 2 cents on it?
Yes, so Bhargav, it's likely that they'll extend the humanitarian pause as Israel is getting more and more of their prisoners and their captives, actually. And it's likely to be only civilian captives that will be released in the short term and in the pause we are seeing now, rather than the several soldiers that Hamas has. However, I think that the IDF will continue its operations in Gaza, especially in northern Gaza, and try to cut the Gaza Strip into, as previously reiterated by Prime Minister Netanyahu. They may be successful in that. However, it's very obvious that the Israelis are losing equipment, they are losing tanks, they are losing as well soldiers in the Gaza Strip. So there is an expense to pay. There is a price actually to pay if they're gonna continue their operations in the Gaza Strip.
It is interesting that you bring up the military captives. It is important to note that they cannot be considered prisoners of war because they were kidnapped during peacetime and not a declared war by a militant organization which is not a sovereign entity of an independent state, rather a usurper militant entity which claims to fight for and speak for Palestinian lives across the board. Now, how will that be treated under international law is a big question mark for the bigger agencies to decipher. But let's keep a closer eye on how this will evolve, and if Israel continues to conduct its military operations in the hope that they can demolish Hamas like Netanyahu intends.
Yes, sure, Bhargav. We're monitoring this closely. That's it for the heads up for today.
Thank you, Bassel. Nothing further from my end.